Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. Per the title, I'm making a foundation, kind of like a my summer foundation routine. So this is how I've been doing my foundation during this hot weather, and I feel like it's the best that I've been able to wear my foundation um since at least pre-COVID. Um it looks like skin. It looks, for me, my personal taste, it looks natural. It has very minimal texture or whatever. And so I'm basically going to walk you through what I do and or what I've been doing and how I get that kind of natural skin kind of look. So the first thing I do is I wash my face, obviously, but I think this is like something really important. I use like this konjac sponge, and they're really inexpensive. You can either buy one for like $3 at like Target or something like that, or you can get like a pack of a flatten, like they're dry, a pack of 50. And so every, you know, week or two, I use one and then I toss it out. But you just wet this, and I put a very like gentle cleanser, and I make sure that I exfoliate or use this on the areas where I know I have the most texture, where I know that my skin is dry and I have like patchiness. So those areas for me are right here, like this area right here in between my eyebrows and underneath this, like kind of like my bone here. I get very dry there, and so like my skin peels around the nose area, especially here and here. And big problem area for me is around my mouth. I use like acne medication and other type of skincare that causes my skin to peel or increase my cell turnover. So I do get a lot of peeling around my mouth. So the number one thing I'm going to recommend is you exfoliate your skin before you do your makeup. Not a harsh exfoliation, not nothing with like beads or anything like that, with plastic beads. Just a gentle like sponge or a towel, and just circular motions with a gentle cleanser to lift up that skin. That is the number one thing that I will recommend. If you take anything from this video, take that away. I already did that. Look how my skin looks. I haven't even moisturized, but it looks good. You know, especially if you get acne and you have acne that's healing and you have like skin that's kind of lifting up, just do this. It's going to make your makeup look 100 times better. Then after I do that, I don't towel dry my face or anything like that. I just use the sponge and kind of pick up the excess water with that. I don't towel dry. I kind of let it air dry naturally. And I do my eyebrows. And the reason why I do my eyebrows first is because I use SPF as a moisturizer. And my SPF that I have is a little bit like greasy. It gives me like a glowy type of look. So I find that when I apply my SPF first, the SPF gets on my brow, and it doesn't really make my brows kind of stay a long time because I'm doing them under that SPF or that moisturizer that's kind of sticky. So I do my brows first because I feel like that just works better for me. The products go on better. After I do that, however, I will moisturize my skin. So that is what I'm going to do now. I'm not going to show you like the products that I'm using because that's not important. Use what you have. It's just the way that you use them. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my moisturizer, and then we'll go on to the next step. Make sure you get a nice layer. I get it underneath my eyes, a nice layer around my mouth because that's my problem area, and definitely like here where I get these dry patches. Like, get a nice layer of moisturizer now down, you know what I'm saying? And just rub that in really well. Get it in all those areas where you get like dry, patchy skin. make sure you rub and really massage that moisturizer in there. Again, so you see how I keep going to the areas where I have skin that kind of peels off or lifts up and looks patchy. So my problem areas is my mouth area right here. This area is a huge problem around my nose and then right here. Okay, so I'm like going back and making sure that I'm really rubbing that moisturizer in and working it in around my mouth and underneath my eyes, so like my under eye makeup doesn't look dry and crackly. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just apply like my lip moisturizer. I'm just using Vaseline. Sometimes I'll use lip gloss. And that's just so while I'm doing my makeup, my lips kind of stay moisturized. All right. So then when I do that, I kind of wait for a couple minutes and I let it kind of set or whatnot. And then I'll go in with my primer. I'm using this primer. It doesn't matter which primer you use. This is just what's in my current rotation that I'm trying to use up. Yeah, I'll use the primer once kind of like my moisturizer sets. And if you use setting spray or makeup spray, like, you know, prior to your application, then go ahead and do that. For this tutorial, I don't use setting spray. It looks perfect without the setting spray, but if you use the setting spray or you have a tried and true, use that. All right, so I want you to I put some of the primer on. I haven't rubbed it in, but I want you to kind of notice where I've added my primer. So I added, you notice that I don't have any primer around the outer perimeter of my face. It's all focused on the center. Why? Because the purpose for my primer is to fill in and make my pores around this area look diffuse. So my pores tend to be right here, like on this area. If you have a moisturizing primer, then your primer's purpose is to moisturize the areas where you get dry, where your skin looks dry, where it looks flaky, where you get dry patches. So, or if you have a primer that's supposed to help with oil control, that's supposed to mattify, then you're going to be applying that primer in the areas where you have a lot of oil production, where your makeup tends to kind of move around and get oily. So see how I concentrated that primer in the center portion of my face. Of course, if something else works for you, do what works for you, but this is just what works for me. So once I've kind of done that, I'll like do my eye makeup. Always do my eye makeup before I do my foundation, just because of fallout and stuff like that. So if you're doing your eye makeup, do that. I won't be doing my eye makeup because I'm just doing a foundation routine. So I'm just waiting for that to kind of sit for a couple minutes, and then I'll go into my foundation routine. And again, if you're using your makeup setting spray, if you like to use that during your makeup application, then you can go ahead and spray a layer of your makeup setting spray and wait for that to dry down. All right, it's been a few minutes. I'm gonna go and apply my layer of foundation. I'm using an old foundation I'm trying to use up. Use the foundation that works best for you, dependent on your skin. So if you have very oily skin, use a more mattifying foundation, if that's your preference or whatever. Okay, the next thing, and this is like, you know how exfoliating your face was like my thing where I said, if there's anything that you take away from this video, take away that. This is the second thing. This has like upped my game. I feel like this has made the second most difference in my application of my foundation, is getting makeup, like a makeup mixing palette, or you can use the back of your hand, but I just feel like the palette doesn't waste makeup. Like if I use the back of my hand, it's kind of wasted because some of it dries down. Anyways, but you don't have to get a makeup palette. If you have like a jar with a lid on it, you can use the lid of the jar, or, you know, like a tin jar or something like that. Make it work for you. And I'm using 1 pump of foundation. I'm putting it on my makeup palette, okay? And I might not even need all of that. So the less, the better, right? So I'm using, why was that pause? That was kind of oily, so I have to redo that. All right, guys, I had to switch out my foundation. I think that foundation is no longer good. I squeezed it a couple times and like a lot of oil was coming out of it. So I'm switching to a different foundation, and honestly, it really doesn't matter which foundation you use, but if you want like a natural skin glowing type of look, a natural makeup, I guess, that whatever, use a foundation that has a natural finish or kind of like a dewy finish so it looks more like skin. But if you have a really nice moisturizing base, then you can use a matte or a natural matte foundation and still get like that skin like look to your face. So I'm not gonna mention the foundation because it doesn't really matter. Right, and I'm using like a pump or less than a pump, like really not that much. Okay, get your little tint. This is important, guys, I promise you. So I'll explain why I feel like this is important. This video might be too long, but the reason why I think that this has made the most change in my makeup application is because when I find myself putting a pump of foundation into the brush, it kind of just starts settling right in the middle, right? And then as I work it into my skin, I find that I'm using way too much. And then a lot of the product just kind of gets stuck right here in the center. And not all the bristles are covered with the product. And the same thing is when I put it on my face, I find that more times than not, I'm using a lot more foundation than I actually need. So the reason why I encourage you to use a palette or a lid or a tin is because you're going to pump the foundation on there, right? You're going to swirl the brush. See how I'm kind of swirling it? Swirl the brush, right? Get all the bristles covered with that foundation. And then I'm going to go on a little space where I don't have foundation and kind of remove the excess, right? And when I apply the foundation, I apply it on the outer perimeter of my face. And I'll show you why I do that. So I'll bring it in, but I'll start it off here, kind of like the outer part of my face, because makeup looks, when you notice that someone's makeup looks cakey or it looks heavy or doesn't look natural, this is the area where you notice it. The center part is where you notice like the heaviness. That's what you notice. You don't really look at someone on this side or at the outer parts of their face and say, gosh, your foundation looks heavy. It's always in the center. So the reason why I start off in the outer parts and I don't put it underneath my eyes, notice that. The reason why I start on the outer parts and I stipple it first on the outer parts of my face and then bring it in is because then I'm getting the lightest application here on the center of my face. And I'll show you how it'll look like. I'll get the coverage that I need. I'll show you. Because if you're worried about coverage, I'll show you. So right now, see how it kind of toned down some of my redness. It's hiding some of my imperfection, but not really. You can go in with another layer. But it's important that you start off with a very like spread out application on your brush and you start stippling it on the outer parts of your face. Okay, so really work it into that crevice right there between the nose. Press it in. You know, I'm not moving my brush around my face because I don't want to move what's underneath. So I am pouncing. Okay, so if you're using a sponge, then it would be the same motion. You're pouncing. All right, and now because I use the makeup palette, or if you use a tin, right, the foundation is not dried down. So I can go back here, swirl my brush, and continue using that pump that I pumped into my makeup palette. And look, again, when I start off, I'm going to start off on the outer parts of my face. Okay, and then bring it in. but I'm placing the majority on the outer parts of my face. If I need more, I'll go back into my tin. Okay. Around my mouth. If you color correct, you can color correct before you do your foundation. Just make sure it's a light layer, right? Go back into my palette. Okay. I have a lot less product now, so I can go back in and really touch up the center of my face. But look at my face right now. I'm giving you a close-up. It looks natural. It looks like skin. It does not look heavy. And then I usually use like a little dot for my forehead because I don't really need a lot. So literally like a dot or two for my forehead. Use less. And I'm doing the same motion. I'm swirling my brush, making sure that all the bristles are covered. It's not just sitting on one spot. Okay? And then stippling it, and I'm stippling it. I'm not like brushing back and forth. I'm pouncing the brush on my face. Okay, that's important. And again, notice how I've left my under eye alone. All right, because you don't want to put too much product underneath your eyes because it's going to make your makeup look heavy. All right. If you need more like coverage, if you want more coverage from your foundation, then do another layer and do it the exact same way that I did it, okay? But if you use a full coverage foundation, you won't need to do that, okay? Because this foundation is like a medium to full coverage. Right now I have like a medium coverage layer on. But if you use like a heavy full coverage foundation, you would do the same exact thing and you would get a full coverage finish off the foundation. Or you can use a medium coverage foundation and just conceal the parts that you want more coverage in. So I could have concealed this, but I feel like it looks better when you have some skin still peeking through. And I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so I'm happy with the application of that. I have a cat, so sometimes I feel hairs on my face. It drives me insane. But here's a close-up, okay? Notice I really want you to pay attention around my mouth because that is my problem area. That is where you can tell if I have makeup on, like, or if it looks heavy. But look, okay? This is where my coverage comes in. If I want more coverage from my makeup, if I'm looking for more coverage from my foundation, I get the coverage from my concealer. I get the coverage by highlighting, okay? So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'll take I usually use a full coverage concealer, and concealers tend to be full coverage, okay? And I'm going to put that right here to highlight the bridge of my nose, right here to highlight in between like my forehead or whatever here, and pay attention to what I do here because this is important. I want to highlight underneath my eyes, but remember how I said earlier, I don't want it to look heavy. I don't know what my max is for YouTube videos, but this might have to be split into two parts. All right, so I grabbed a little bit more product on my brush, and you see how I have this trough right here, like this line here, okay? When I do my makeup, I want to create the illusion that that line isn't as deep as it looks. So that's why I do my concealer this way, but you don't have to. But this is what I do, okay? I bring it up here and I do that, and then I fill this part out. And this is how I get more coverage from my foundation. If you're looking for more coverage in this portion of your face, this is what I do, okay? And I feel, or the reason to me why it looks more natural is because this part of my face is naturally lighter. So with me using a concealer, a full coverage concealer, and kind of highlighting those parts, It still kind of looks like skin because it's the natural lighting. It's the natural shades of where your face is light and dark in certain areas. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to blend out the one on my nose right here. Okay, because yeah, I blend out the smaller parts first, if that makes sense. Okay, and I'm just tapping it. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, always keeping that tapping motion. Look, it still looks natural, but anyways, let me finish this so I can show you. Then the smallest part, the next smallest part is this highlight that I put right here on my chin, and I tap it. If you're using this sponge, you're doing the same thing. You're just tapping it. Okay, tap, tap, tap. Okay, and then I'm gonna go right in between my brows and blend that out, tapping it. It's always tapping. I'm never moving the product by brushing the brush across my face. I'm always tapping it. Okay, look at that. And then I'm going to go underneath my eyes. If it's easier for you to use a sponge underneath your eyes, you can do that, but I'm just going to use the brush. And what I do is I blend down, okay, and then whatever extra I blend up. You'll see. Okay, so I'm blending down, up and out. Always tapping my brush. Okay, now I'm blending up towards where my dark circles are. Okay, now I'm blending up, but still very light product underneath that eye right there. Very light amount of product. But you see how I'm getting the full coverage now. I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit intense, but do you see how I'm getting more full coverage now? That's a full coverage concealer. That is a very heavy concealer. And so by doing this, by using it to highlight my face and placing it in certain areas, you see how I'm getting a full coverage foundation look. I mean, I could conceal that with a concealer that's my skin tone, but I just want you to see the other parts of my face. Okay, so if you have a lot of redness on your cheeks that you want to conceal, this is how you would do that. And look, I shouldn't have put the concealer there, but I want you to look. Do you see how that looks? And make sure you really blend it, and tap it in here in the nose area. Do you see how that looks? Do you see how that looks? Okay, I'm going to do the other side of my face and then I'll get back. All right, this is both sides done. Look at this side. All right, so you saw how I highlighted right underneath my dark circles, and then when I blended the majority of it down, then I took it and I blended it up. Okay, and the reason why I do that is I don't like a lot of product underneath my eyes because I don't want my eyes to look crepey. And the second reason why I do that is because I don't want to set my face until I've used up all my cream products. Okay, so because it's summer, I like a more dewy look. So I'm using a lot more cream products, a lot more liquid products. But if you are using like powder blush, powder bronzer, powder highlight, then apply your concealer. Okay, so the next step would be to apply your concealer for underneath the eyes, your color corrector, and then your concealer, and then set it. Okay, and then you would go to your normal powder products. And I guess I can make another video of just powder products so I can kind of show you what I would do. But now that I've highlighted my face, I'm gonna go in and contour. So I'm just using this matchstick, and you see how I have a naturally dark point right here. So I'm just gonna apply that right there. That is my contour. Okay, I'm just making that area more prominent, look more like it's sunken in. All right, contour right there. Then I'll do it here because I have a naturally more fuller face and I want my chin to be sharper, so I'll add some contour here And I'll, because you see how it kind of sticks out. This is kind of like my double chin. You see how the double chin starts right there? So that's the part where I am applying this, okay? You kind of see where that line is? Um, that is where I apply my contour. You see it kind of goes with that line, okay? And then I'll apply my contour right here. Make this more kind of sunken in, okay? And then I can take some right here on my nose, very lightly. You can use powder, you don't have to use cream, okay? I just like how cream looks right now. I feel like cream just looks a little bit more natural. And then I'm just gonna use my contour brush and blend this out. And again, just like the concealer, when we were highlighting, you're gonna blend out the smaller parts first. The parts where you applied the least amount of product, you are going to blend out those parts first. Okay. And if you're having a hard time blending out your contour, any products, if you're having a hard time blending that part out, now even though I applied more product here, you could blend out this part first because anyways, just ignore that. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this out. Continue with the smaller, where you applied smaller, okay? Really working it in. You see? Okay. Blending it out. But yeah, if you're having a hard time blending out your contour, if you're having a hard time blending out your powder, I mean your blush, your bronzer, whatever it is, it's, you know, sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's the product. This blends like a dream. Like I don't have to put in a lot of work and this just blends itself out. Okay. Right. This is where these are the areas that I use my contour at. And it just blends like a dream. Okay. And then I'll blend this out. And when I'm blending it, I'm taking it all the way back. Okay. I'm taking it all the way back to create that shadow. You see that shadow? That's what I want. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Taking it all the way back. All the way back. Okay. And I'm not blending it up. Okay. That's important. I'm not blending it up. I'm literally kind of hooking the brush underneath my jawbone and blending backwards. Okay. Yeah. So I get like, it's subtle. It's not very like prominent. It's subtle, but it's there. Okay. Go back and tap. Okay. Once I've done my that, I'm gonna go in with my bronzer. Yeah, I'm gonna go in with my bronzer next, and I'm using liquid bronzer. But if you use a cream bronzer, just use cream. I'm using a liquid bronzer, so that's why I'm placing it on my palette. Whenever you're working with a liquid, use it on your palette so you can really diffuse it. And same thing like I did my foundation. You see how little I placed there? I'm swirling the brush in it, okay? And I am working that product on every single bristle, okay? So it's even. And I'll show you what it looks like, okay? So the bronzer, I'm going to be applying that to my cheek area. So this, where this is kind of sunken in, the bronzer is going to go a little bit higher than that, okay? Kind of like right there, okay? And working, if you have hair, I have a lot of hair here, you're going to work that product into the hair, okay? And I'm only going to do one side so you can see the difference. And I'm bringing that up here as well. Okay. And I'm also going to be using bronzer here. I don't like to use contour. I don't like to contour my forehead. I prefer to bronze it. I know some people contour their forehead, but I just feel like the bronzer looks better for me. All right. Okay, look at the difference. No bronzer, just contour here. This looks like I have a little bit of sun. This looks natural. Okay, this looks like skin. A little, this looks like the natural coloring of skin where you would have different shades of your skin. It's still just one drop of product that I use. Okay, so that's what you need to realize, is that you need to use a lot less product than what you think. Now I have this left over, and I'm going to do the same thing, stipple it on my brush, and do the same thing to this side. Okay. Really pushing that up against my hair. Up into my hair. But yeah, use less product. You can always add more if you want more, but it's really hard to take the product off. And when you're doing kind of like a natural finish, it's always better to take rather than to add. It's always better to use less, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. And I love taking this and just using it on my eyes, because our eyes have color to them too. And I just feel like sometimes when you hit your eyes with the bronzer or with the blush, it just makes everything kind of come together. You don't have to do that though. All right, I've added my bronzer. I've added my contour. What should I do next? Okay, I'm gonna do my my concealer next. All right, guys, I apologize. I'm losing some sun because I'm using natural lighting, but yeah, I just want to reiterate that I'm using natural lighting. I don't have any filters on. I'm just using my camera, my phone camera, to record this. I don't use the same concealer that I use to highlight to conceal underneath my eye, so that's why I had to kind of step away and grab my concealer that I use for underneath my eyes. You use whatever concealer works for you that doesn't crease and stuff. And this concealer, I'm using this so I could really see, but I place right here, just in this area, you'll see. Okay, like that. And I'll just do one eye and blend it out. This is my little sponge that I like to use to blend out my concealer. Right, I'm pressing it in. I like it because it's pointed, but you use whatever you have. Work it out and bring it up. I could have some darkness here, so I like to take some of that concealer in. Okay, look. Okay. Let me bring you up. It doesn't look, I wish the sun would come out again, but you see, it doesn't look heavy. It doesn't look, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing to the other eye, and then you notice how I'm not bringing it down. I don't need to. I already highlighted that area. I don't need to bring this concealer down. I'm just using this to get more coverage for my dark circles. By my camera. Okay. All right, now that I did that, make sure. Okay, look how it looks. It just looks amazing. It looks like skin. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is set this concealer that I placed right here. Okay, I'll show you what I did, what I'll do. So this is important. You need a good powder. I recommend the Cover FX Translucent Setting Powder. That one's phenomenal. This one, drugstore, the Maybelline Fit Me powder, phenomenal. okay? Those are my two high recommendations for setting powders for underneath your eye and like whatever. The Laura Mercier translucent powder, that does not work for me. So my eyes look dry when I use that. My concealer creases when I use that. So I do not recommend that. So I'm just using this powder. And I like to apply it with a sponge, a powder sponge, or you can use a powder puff or whatever. I prefer that over applying it with a brush. So I'm just getting that loaded up onto my sponge, and I'm kind of scraping the excess away. Okay, and this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, let's see if I can bring you up. Like I said, I dusted off the majority of the excess. You can blow on it and get the excess off, and then right here. Okay, and then placing it like that. And I'll just do one eye first, kind of show you what that looks like. I'm going back into some more powder, and I'm bringing it down up to my nose, okay? Like right here. And then here, because I have large pores there. So I like using setting powder there because it makes my makeup look diffused. It makes my pores like disappear. Okay. And I'm really pressing this in. I'm not baking nothing, okay? Just pressing this powder in until it disappears. And look. Okay? Look how it looks. It still looks like skin. Does it look dry? No. This side obviously looks more dewier, but it still looks like skin. You can see how it hid my smile line that I have right here, this little smile line here. Well, this little like indentation. I guess that's not really a smile line. But you see how on this side you can kind of see my pores more, and this side you can't. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, but I hope you can tell those little differences. But the most important thing that I want you to see is how my makeup, you see how I keep adding more makeup to my face. I keep adding more products to my face, but every layer that I add still looks like skin. That's what I want you to pay attention to, okay? All right, I'm going to powder my other side. Whatever extra that I have, I use it to, I wear glasses, so my foundation tends to wear on, also like my nose gets oily, okay? Alrighty. All right, now that I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do, actually, yeah, I'm using, if you're using cream products from here on out, don't put the powder where you'll be adding the cream products. Okay, some cream products is fine to add the powder on, whatever, but I'm powdering my chin and my mouth because I'm using a powder highlight. But if I was using a cream or liquid highlight, I would not do this first. But since I'm not, I'm powdering my mouth. Notice how I'm not powdering my whole skin. I'm not going to, right? And then I'm just gonna dust whatever excess that I have with my brush, okay? And then I am going to powder right here in between my forehead because I'm using a powder highlight, and I do tend to get oily in this area, so I want to make sure that it's nice and set. Okay, ooh, the sun is coming. The sun is coming. All right, I'm gonna use a liquid blush, and I'm gonna put it again in my makeup palette like that. And I'm gonna grab my blush brush and do the same thing that I did with my foundation, do the same thing that I did with my liquid bronzer. Swirl it, make sure that like the bristles are covered, and stipple it on my face. And apply your blush however the hell you apply it. Actually I might need a little bit more. So this is how I apply my blush. I feel like it looks more natural, because when you get red, when you're hot, when you're exercising or whatever, and you get red, right? I feel like you get red in this area as well, or you get flushed in this area as well. So I like to, personally, I like to bring my blush all the way in here, all the way up to there, okay? But you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But that's kind of blended, and you see how I set that whole part with powder, but this product you can use on top of powder. Okay, so that is how I'm looking. Okay, it looks crazy because I don't have it on this side, but once I do that, and you know, I'm not using the palette for this, but I'm telling you guys to use it so you can kind of get used to using the you know, I've been doing this for a while, so I know how much product I need or whatever. I've been using these products, so I know how they work. But you use your mixing lid or your mixing palette, okay? So you can get used to how much product you need to put on. That is important. How much product does it take to get the finish, to get the coverage, to get the effect that I want, right? See, that looks more natural. That's just how I put my blush on, guys. You don't have to do your blush like that. All right, that was my last liquid product, okay? So the next products I'll be using are powder. So notice I didn't powder the perimeter of my face. The stuff that I use on the perimeter of my face was liquid and cream products. So right now I'm going to use my bronzer. Let me pause this while I find it. Okay, I'm using this mineralized skin finish as my bronzer. It's a very highlight, it's very shimmery, but I kind of want to use it, so to add more warmth to my face. I'll just use it on one side of my face so you can kind of see how it looks like. And I love using it on top of the blush because I feel like it makes it look more natural, look more warmer. And this is kind of setting. You can do it more intense if you want to, but you can see, can you see the kind of the difference? This side of my face is a lot more warmer now. This is a lot more cooler because I don't have this like really warm bronzer on top. It's not really a bronzer, honestly, but I like using it as a bronzer. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. And as I'm applying my product, I just want you to see, look at the faces that I'm making. Look at the angles of my skin and judge for yourself and let me know if it looks like skin to you. Judge for yourself, okay? And let me know if it looks like skin. Guys, having a cat is a double-edged sword. They're lucky we love them so much. All right, and then last thing I'm gonna do is highlight my face. And I'm using a powdered highlight, baked highlight. This is my first time using this highlight. I don't know if I like it. Not bad. Okay. I'm trying to record this in a way that you guys can see, but also I can see. Feel me? Okay. I think that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my mascara and then I'll be back. Okay guys, I applied my mascara. I don't have any eyeshadow on except for the little bit of bronzer that I kind of diffused on there. I don't have my lips done. I don't have any lipstick on. My eyebrows are done, but look, I just wanted to bring you in. Again, there's no filter on this. I'm just using natural lighting. Look at my skin. Look at my problem area around my nose. Look at my mouth. Here's I just want you guys to see. Look at underneath my eyes. Look how there's no like lines. It doesn't look dry. Look, just look how smooth it looks. That's what I want you to see, is how smooth it looks. And I don't even know how many products I used in this video, okay? Look at my forehead. Of course, I'm going to show you that. Here where I get like product kind of looks dry on me. Okay. I just really want you guys to see this. It looks natural. It looks like skin. It doesn't feel heavy. You saw how much foundation I used, okay? That little squirt. You saw it on the makeup palette. Let me fix my hair. Okay, here we go. With my hair down. Sorry, moving the camera so much. But yeah, I got you this summer. This summer, I got you. Do this. If you do this, I would love to see it. I'm going to tag my Instagram down below. And yeah, I can make other foundation routines. I can make a color correcting one if you want. But just tell me, like, I just can't stop looking at myself. This looks amazing. To me, this looks natural. To me, this looks natural. Come on, you can't tell me this doesn't look natural. Come on. Give this a thumbs up. I don't know if yeah, give this a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Because your girl did it. Your girl did it. Thanks for checking me out. I just can't stop looking at myself.